Welcome back to TLT Talks. We have a very special show for you today. It's almost halftime. Got a couple days left in June, and that will mark the middle of the year. And so my question to you is, how you doing? Everybody sets goals in the beginning of the year, or should be setting goals in the beginning of the year. Even if it's not firm goals and there's not a firm process, everyone probably starts the year thinking, New Year's resolution is a big deal. And now, halfway through the year, it's a good time to reevaluate and say, am I on track? Am I not? How am I doing? How am I going? So with us today, I have for you guys a performance coach, a consulting strategist, an absolute wonderful human being. He's signing on now, and there he is. Good morning, Mr. Sugarman.
I'd say good morning, but you and I wake up so early that is it really the morning for us anymore?
It's like dinner time. That's all right.
Good evening.
That's all right. Actually, truth be told, Greg was a big motivation that I was having some time ago, like years ago. I was having a hard time getting up. And Greg, every morning, does a 5 a.m. workout, and he just kept posting it. So I gave him a call. I was like, dude, what's the secret? And he's like, there's no secret. Every morning it sucks. You just do it. I'm like, I knew it. It is what it is. It is what it is.
That's it.
Greg and I actually met through the Tony Robbins community.
Yeah.
And Greg and I started doing some coaching for our team. And now he's actually not only exclusively the coach for the Litvak team, but also he is one of the top coaches at Compass, runs a beautiful business. Greg, I know how amazing you are. So does our entire team. We truly value every minute you spend with us. Why don't you tell the audience a little about yourself, who you are, where you're from, anything you want to share?
Are you sure if you want to keep saying nice things about me, that's okay too? That's okay. No, that's it. Thank you. So thank you so much, Eugene. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. Like you said, I am a performance coach for real estate agents and team leaders. Been in the coaching space about 7, maybe 8 years at this point. I was always a coach for entrepreneurs. That was just kind of my thing. And then about 3 years ago, I had reached out to you when COVID hit. If everybody remembers COVID, wasn't that fun? It was so much fun. Let's do that again, never. Reached out to you, and you kind of came up with this idea, hey, why don't you coach my team? And that was my first experience coaching a bunch of entrepreneurs that all did the same thing. And one thing led to another, and I've done nothing but coach real estate agents for the last 3 years. So it's been a wild ride. It's been great.
Amazing. And if you haven't had the opportunity, Greg is sensational at what he does. Greg, as you know, on this team and certainly on the show, we like to have a good time. Fun fact, sir. Give us a fun fact.
Well, because I'm annoying and I can't just give you one, I'll give you a couple. So let's see. I am surfing. I love surfing. I might be one of the worst surfers in the world, though. I'm not even kidding. I've been doing it for a really long time and I'm freaking terrible, but I love it. I love it. Semi-decent guitar player, rock and roll fanatic, and I'll give you one more. I love all things Star Wars. Nice. So yeah, big old nerd. Cool. So that's very cool.
I actually really got into surfing too. I go to Costa Rica often, and now surfing's become. There's something about getting up on that board, man. There's just something about it. When you finally catch a wave, it's like, oh my God.
You are literally riding on the energy of the planet. It's so you can't. Now, let's just talk about that. The whole show.
Seriously. So the reason we're here today is I just started going into it right before you jumped on. It's almost halftime. July marks the middle of the year. And so, on this team, we do a 2-day goal setting workshop every year in December to set goals and targets and reverse engineer the activities that need to be done in order to achieve the targets for my more advanced entrepreneurs, KPIs, and critical drivers. And so we do that. And actually, this year's the first year. We did a mid-year. We did it earlier this month, a full 1-day seminar just to recalibrate. How are you doing? Are you still on track, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes life throws you a curveball. And so, you plan for one thing and then something else happens. And so it doesn't mean you should just walk away from the entire system of goal setting. So I guess, Greg, for anyone that's interested in treating this next, 10 days, like an evaluation period, like a reset, anything of that nature, what are the tips you might have? Could be real estate related or not, but what are the tips you might have for someone looking to, do this recalibration thing?
Before we do that, I had a laugh when you said sometimes life throws you a curveball.
Yes, seriously.
It's nothing but curveballs. So,
okay. Seriously.
It is, where are we today? June 22nd, right? So figure this out. There's 192 days left in the year. So I would start more of kind of a mindset shift. I would forget the end of the year. Just forget it. It can be difficult for some people to set a goal that's in, it's a year. Okay, it's January 1st. I've got until December 31st. A year goes by really slow, but also really fast. So I would suggest forgetting that there's 6 months left in the year. And I would just focus on, not even that there's a half a year left. Think in quarters. And even more than that, think in quarter, singular. If you can get yourself to the point where you are thinking, you know what, this quarter, regardless of what's going on, I don't care about interest rates, I don't care about the Fed, I don't care about the state of the market, it doesn't matter. You can't control that. This quarter is the most important quarter in my career, and focus on that. Look at the road that's right in front of you. It's like I always say, if you were driving from New York to San Diego, you're behind the car, you're not going to be thinking about San Diego. You're going to map out your course. You're going to sit there, you're going to drive, you're going to hit the road that's in front of you, and that's where your focus should be. So forget the fact that there's that much time left in the year. Just think about this quarter being the most important quarter. Then what I would do is really just focus on, I know this is, listen, we want to succeed, we want money in, we want to do better than we did last year, but focus on the tasks, focus on the things that you have to do every single day to build your business, and focus on those tasks like an animal for the next 90 days. And then you worry about the 90 days after that when you get to it.
Yeah, it's so intelligent, man. In the world, for the people that are advanced or not, either way, the world of KPIs or key performance indicators and critical drivers, it's really simple. It's you set a target, and you reverse engineer that target into action steps, and you don't worry about the target anymore. You just do the action steps. So an example of that might be, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, that would be the KPI or the target. An example of the critical drivers and activities might be, I'm going to lift weights 3 times a week. I'm going to do cardio 3 times a week. I'm going to stretch 3 times, whatever the things are. I'm not going to eat carbs, whatever the thing might be. Now, the truth is, if you execute in a game plan, you don't really need to get in the scale. Now, you'll do it anyways for the measure and see where you are, but you don't really need to get in the scale. So I love that, Greg. I love that, Greg. Don't worry about the goals so much. Just worry about the daily tasks. And when those tasks pop up, this is the one that I think gets people the most. Even people that are really well systematized, the task pops up and there's still that, I don't feel like doing it, or I don't have time for that right now. I got to get back to my inbox or whatever. Actually, our mutual acquaintance, my business mentor, Keith Cunningham, he's got a really cool thing he does. If he'll be at a seminar or during our boards that I do with him, he'll say to everyone, look at your clock. What time is it right now? People might call it, if it's your cell phone versus your watch, people might call out different sizes. Isn't it funny? For everybody, it's the same time. It's now o'clock. So be back in 15 minutes from now. So I kind of took that and I ran with it. And it's like, where did we implement this mindset of later, tomorrow? Like, where did that come? That's now. It's always now o'clock.
Always.
It's always now o'clock. Let's go. LOG. Let's go. Awesome, Greg. Yeah, it's such a good one. What else you got for us? Another distinction, another point.
Yep. And I want to circle back real quick where you just said, you don't feel like it. And I always said, it's kind of funny when you could remove yourself from that. Who said feeling like it has anything to do with
Seriously.
it? Like the amount of times I feel like doing something, few and far between. But it has nothing to do with anything. If you sit around waiting for this bolt of inspiration and for the lightning to strike and for the heavens to open up, you're going to be waiting a long time. So feeling like it has nothing to do with it. Just doesn't.
For sure. Mike Tyson had a line of discipline that came out. It went viral recently. I'm going to botch it a little bit. It was something like, discipline is doing the things you hate like you love them. I was like, damn, that's pretty good, Mike. That's pretty good, Mike.
And if it wasn't, I'm not gonna tell him it's not good. So.
That's right. That's a bad man.
All right, so you want this something else, right?
Another tip.
The first piece was more of kind of a mindset, it's a perspective shift. This is more tactical, and this is kind of dealing with the way, not just agents, but entrepreneurs, people, how you can approach organizing yourself. And I call this Mind Zero. And this, first of all, came out of everybody was obsessed with Inbox Zero for a while. And I never got it because my question was always, okay, cool. How big is the wire transfer that you get when your inbox hits zero? How much?
Right.
Nothing. Right. Okay, so what's the big deal with that? So anyhow, Mind Zero is about being able to show up every day and, like you just alluded to, just execute, right? I think way too many people use their brains in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is your brain is not meant to be a storage system. right? It's not meant to keep track of all these things and have to remember a million things. It's just not meant for it. Your mind is supposed to be used for higher level creative tasks. Like you taught me the principle of CEO time, higher level thoughts about your business. And so Mind Zero is really about getting everything that's out of your head, I'm going to say onto paper, but preferably onto digital. Paper's better if you're not doing anything, preferably digital, getting it all out into your head, looking at it, sorting through it, getting everything on your calendar. We're going to talk about calendar a little later, so that you don't have to remember these things. You don't have to think about it. And again, your calendar tells you what to do, and you just execute, because you've already done this work. You've already done this game planning. And it's really funny. There's an agent that you and I both know, and I'm certainly not going to out him or her on this call, but this is just a couple of weeks ago. We're having a call, and I remember everything. I said, okay, cool. So tell me all the things that you got to do this week. And he or she said, okay, I got to do this and that and the other and the other. I said, okay, cool. I wrote it down. I said, never mind, forget it. And we talked for 5 minutes. I said, give me that list again. He said, the list that I just gave you? I said, give me again. I said, okay, this, that, the other. 3 things were missing from that list. 4 things were new. And I was like, you can't even remember what you said 5 minutes ago. So you're trying to keep your entire business in your head. No, get it out of your head. Don't use your mind as a storage device. Out of your head, preferably digital, but paper if you're not doing anything, and get those things on the calendar. So that's Mind Zero.
Yeah, amen. Oh, it's so well said, for sure. Yeah, I love that line. We say that all the time, is that the brain is not meant to be a storage device. And we have this phrase regularly: memory is the enemy. Like, I have a great memory, but it's like I just don't want to exhaust my brain having to remember when it can be doing better things, right? And so, yeah, that's so spot on. And Greg's being kind. Please do not use pen and paper. My wife has had this battle for many years. We on this team, we use Asana. That's our brain dump. That's our project manager. And my wife's like, no, I like writing better because I remember better. And it's like, okay, fine, cool. And then one day her bag got stolen for she's got a consulting business. And for about 2 years, every client, every distinction, every thought, everything went into that book. And then her bag got stolen with the book in it. And that's it. It's all gone. It's all gone. Every client note, every distinction she wrote down, every thought for herself, every aha moment, all of it gone. So it's like, guys, I love you. Whatever your story is about pen to paper, get rid of it and get virtual. Get in the cloud, right? Yeah. Get in the cloud. But certainly get out of your mind. Certainly get out of your mind.
100%. And you know, another thing, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, another thing that happens when you're trying to remember all this stuff, like, you might not feel like you're trying to do anything, but think of your computer that's running 100 different apps and 300 tabs are open. That's right. And I'm guilty of that at all times. But there's a cost to that. Your brain, you know, when a computer is doing a lot of stuff and you hear it go zzz, and it kind of gears up, your brain is doing that. And that leads to anxiety, it leads to overwhelm, because your brain is also awful at knowing how much it is that you have to do, because you feel like, I'm overwhelmed, I've got so much to do, okay, get it all out digitally. What do you have to do? Get it out there, and you look and you say, oh, okay, you know what, this is actually manageable. I can put this in my calendar here, I can do that later, I can do this in a half hour. It's just, there's no downside.
For sure. And we've all been there. One of the worst feelings in the world is that blind spot, is that, like, oh my God, I forgot X, whatever X is. Like, one of the worst feelings in the world. And then from there, oh my God, what else am I forgetting? And that's when anxiety, stress, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, yeah, man, just get it out of your head. Get it out of your head. Get a pen to paper, which leads to the next point of calendar, which you know, you and I both feel very strongly about this topic. So let me let you lead off in. I guess a question for you is a third tip. What's a third tip that you think is really great for this, you know, halftime recalibration?
So when we talk about going back to basics, like, at this point, since Compass launched their coaching marketplace, I think I've done something like almost 750, 730 one-on-one calls with agents and team leaders, right? And before you start working,
can we pause on that for a second? How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. And by the way, if I didn't have systems, if I wasn't organized, if I didn't use my calendar, I would not have been able to handle that capacity at all. You need things like that to keep you sane, to keep you kind of in your lane, to keep you on target.
And by the way, you're talking to dozens of different people. Every one of them, you know, you're recording their thoughts, their distinctions, you're recording notes for yourself. Like, if you don't have some sort of system, like, how do you possibly manage that workload? How can you? And even if you could do it, are you really being effective? Going, you know, from one call to the next call 2 weeks or 4 weeks later, and trying to access your memory for what should be discussed or checked up on? It's like,
Not at
Yeah,
all,
you
because
just
if
can't.
I'm coaching you and I'm on a call with you, you don't care that I have 7 other calls that day.
100%.
You care that
100%.
I remember exactly what we were talking about last week, exactly what we've been dealing with for the last month. So to do that, you need to be organized. You need to be on top of
Yeah.
your game, and that's all
Yeah,
about
for sure.
systems.
Same, for sure.
What was I just going to say? Oh, so when you start working with people, everybody, and you could attest to this, one of the first things everyone says is, I need systems.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have systems. And you ask them, well, systems for
Yeah,
what? And you taught me this, right? A system is what? A system is a vehicle that gets you to an outcome.
that's it.
So everybody wants these systems. The most powerful system you can ever have is your calendar.
That's right.
That's it. The most powerful system you can have is your calendar. And when you think calendar, everybody talks about time blocks. And time blocks are this thing that everybody says, I need to do time blocks. I don't do time blocks. My time blocks can be better, blah, blah, blah. So there's a couple of kind of time block cheat codes that I work on with people. Before we do that, actually calendar. So the first thing that I recommend to people is how you look at your calendar. Your calendar, to me, is a visual representation of your intentions. That's exactly what it is. So when you wake up in the morning, you open your calendar, you're looking at your world. This is what I intend to do. You're probably not going to do 100% of the things that you have on your calendar. But if you continue putting your intentions out there, at the end of the day, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, you are going to be so far ahead of your competition because you're going to get so much more done. Changing the way you think about your calendar. For people that are not that great with time blocks. So a couple of things I recommend. First, don't try to time block your entire day. It's too much, too fast. I tell people, try to time block 1 hour of your day. And in that hour, you commit to yourself, you decide, I'm going to seize absolute and total control of this 1 hour. I'm going to defend this hour. This hour is non-negotiable, and you start there. And you just work that 1 hour, do it every day. And when you get comfortable with that, when it becomes a habit, then you can add another block on like that. You can add something else on there. Another thing I tell people, if you're not familiar or not great with time block in reverse. And so what do I mean by that? Don't put things proactively on your calendar. Start blocking after the fact. You say, okay, what did I do today? I had this meeting at 2 o'clock. I had showings between 3 and 5. I don't know what happened between 10 and 12. I didn't do anything. And start putting your blocks in that way. And then you can start looking at your world and you'd see that like, oh, okay, there's actually are blocks in here. And another thing I work on with people, I love this distinction. People that say they're not good with time blocks, if you think about it, you had time blocks mastered by the time you were 3 or 4 years old, right? Because when you're a kid, your parents tell you, okay, this is the shower time block. This is your nap time block. This is your food time block. And you were kind of went along like that. You went to school and you put on your science time block hat. You're like, okay, so that's over. Now it's your history time block. And you went like this all through high school. You had periods, classes, those are time blocks. And then like a lot of us get to college, it kind of loosens up a little bit. And by the time you're in your 20s and you get your first, quote, real job, you've kind of forgotten that you've been working out of time blocks your entire life. Right. You have to so it's not like you have to learn, you have to remember that you've already been in time blocks.
That's right. Yeah, that's so good, man. I mean, honestly, it is shocking to me. It is shocking to me what percentage of people out there don't have calendars as a part of their world. I mean, it is absolutely shocking. And I mean, I can't even imagine what I would do without it. Even this, for anyone that's listening, I want you to think about, you wake up in the morning, what's the very first thing you do, right? Maybe you're someone that says, well, I've got a morning routine. I meditate, I breathe, I coach, I whatever. And for you, I say, God bless, and I commend you for it. But did you grab your phone first? Did you go to the inbox first? Did the alarm go off? You go right to the inbox, and you go right to the inbox. And actually, Nick Sonnenberg, who's become a dear friend, he's the best-selling Wall Street Journal of a book about efficiency. And essentially, he gave us this quote. He was on TLTTalks last month, and he gave us this quote that I just can't get over. Email is like an external to-do list that anyone can add to. So it's like you went to bed at 10 or 11 or 12, and now it's 5 a.m. if you're Gregg or Eugene, or 7 a.m. if you're someone else, or 10 a.m. if you're someone else. And the first thing you're going to do is look at the thing that anyone can say whatever they want to you. Well, what are the chances of having a really great morning? And if you subscribe to the teachings of a Joe Dispenza, right, where, if you think about your day, when you're going to bed, especially most overachievers, you're not going to bed thinking, hoorah, I had a great day. You're going to bed thinking about, You know, you're not thinking about all the successful things you did. If you're an overachiever, you're probably thinking about all the things you didn't get to, all the things you still need to do. And then when you wake up, if there's not a process, which should be in a time block, if there's not a process to get yourself into your best state, and the very first thing you do is go to your phone, then the very first thing you're looking for is, again, what didn't I do? And now you're just living this perpetual past, right? Versus creating a new every single day. And so that life of my inbox directs my day versus having some sort of, and I love that you said that, because when I coach calendar, we coach intentional calendar, and we coach this thing, rock, pebble, sand, water, right? Which I'll get to in a second. And most importantly, it's not about perfection. And you know that. It's not about if I didn't hit every single thing on my calendar, then calendar doesn't work. It's about an intention. Not every intention pans out. But if you're operating out of the calendar and you're at 80% of your day or whatnot, you know, that's still a lot better than operating from the inbox and having the external take you wherever you want to go versus where you want to go. And for those people that are going to go down the road of time blocking, there's a video. Just pull it up on YouTube, rocks, pebbles, sand, water. There's one really funny one with a college professor where he does it with beer, actually. But essentially, get your rocks in first. You know, he'll take a jar and he'll say, put a bunch of rocks in the jar and he'll ask the students, is it full? And they'll say yes. Then he'll pour in all the pebbles and he'll say, is it full? They'll say yes. Then he'll pour sand. Is it full? Yes. And he basically says, if you pour in the sand first, there'd be no more space for the rocks or the pebbles. And we do that a lot. You know, the way that we teach it is that the rocks, that's your family, that's your rest, that's your workout, that's your meditation, that's your life. Because we don't go into business to be consumed by it. You know, we go into business to create a beautiful life. My word is incredible. That's my word. The actual definition of that word is like hard to believe. So part of my daily incantations is how can I continue to build incredible. And if you're not starting by protecting your time for what's most important, you just can't do that. You know, like we've all been there where we're too busy for family, for friends, whatever, and you got to protect against that first. Then the pebbles we teach, that's your recurring stuff. That's your weekly meetings. That's, you know, if you're a real estate agent, that's your showings. That's, you know, that's the stuff you have to do regularly. And then you can put in your pebbles, which are all of your intentions and all the goals you want to do. And then finally, there's the sand, which is just left for, you know, whatever else. And so if you approach it from that manner, you'll get to own your time. You know, Greg, I'm sure you hear this as often as I do. You ask someone why something is not being done, and almost always the first response is something about, I didn't have time. And it's like, damn, that's just not true. It's not you didn't have time. We all have the same amount of time. It's just you prioritize one thing over the next. And I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but let's not talk about this loss of control of I didn't have time. Let's instead say, I chose to do this instead of that. And then when you say that I decided to do this instead of that thing, either it'll feel fine, justified, or you'll feel icky. You'll feel like, oh, no, I didn't like that decision. So then you'll make a different decision. But when we say no time, we just give away all of our power. We give away all of our accountability. So that's what calendar does, folks. That's what calendar does. Calendar gives you your you know, when we do this 2-day seminar on the team, we say that the goal is the address, right? If you got into a car, the goal or the KPI or the target, that would be the address. The calendar is the GPS. It's the summation of all the activities you reverse engineer. And here's what's really cool once you start using the calendar. So let's say you have goal 1, which is lose 20 pounds. You have goal 2, which is take 5 family trips. You have goal 3, which is do 20 deals, you know, whatever it is. You start to reverse engineer these things. You start to time block it. And the funny thing will happen. Almost always you'll be like, oh, snap. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time for anything. Good. Now you know that. Yeah. Now you know that what you're trying to do is actually not possible. You can't do everything at once. So either you do less goals and you go deeper, you know, harder, or you do less things per goal and you recalibrate. But if you're going to find out there's not enough time, wouldn't it be better to find that out in the front end proactively versus frustrated and overworked and overwhelmed later, right?
And if you have that all in front of you, if you're looking at all this on a calendar and you look at it like a board game, and the time blocks are your pieces,
that's it.
It's all strategy. You say, okay, I'm not able to do this. Can I move this here? Well, what happens if I do that? And maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore because I can free up time. This really isn't important to me anymore. And you do it that way. And I just want to circle back to one thing you said, because it's so important. You mentioned people that wake up and the first thing they do is they're looking at their emails, right?
Yeah.
Everyone talks about, I want to be more proactive. I'm too reactive in my business. I'm putting out fires all day. When you're looking at emails, it represents everybody else's agenda other than yours. So you are starting your day with the most proactive thing you could, the most reactive thing you can ever do. And that's that Admiral McCraven thing, right? Make your bed first thing in the morning.
That's
So you're getting a small win. You're starting your day off behind the 8 ball when you're doing that. You're starting your day reacting immediately. And when you do that, you're probably going to wind up reacting all day. For sure.
You know, Tony Robbins talks about the triad, right? Like we are all, you know, depending what state we're in, we're all different people. And so if you wake up and you want to be your best self, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to engage your physiology. It's not to be anything crazy. You can do 10 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups, whatever, but anything, because when we wake up, no matter who you are, even if you're a morning person, you and I are both morning people, like even me, like I'm a morning person, I wake up early, but when that alarm goes off, I'm not feeling chipper and I'm not singing and dancing. I feel terrible. I feel like I've just been resurrected from slumber. You know, that alarm goes off and I'm hating life for that's not the real me. It's just that's how we wake up. So if you want to get into the real you, you attack your physiology, you do something to get the blood circulating. You go into your focus, right? If the first thing you think about when you wake up is, oh my God, I got so much to do today, which is totally normal for anyone that's busy. But that's the thought. You're not going to want to get up and spring into action. And if the language matches the focus, you're dead. You know, like so now you're tired and your inner language is crap, and so you're dead. But and then in that state, when you're already feeling like, oh man, I don't want to get up, you grab the phone and 17 people give you some kind of news that's even worse. It's like, man, snooze 1 hour, back to sleep.
And
or
by the way,
sluggish or pissed all day or whatever.
When you do this, if this is kind of the way someone's reality is and this is how your day is, it's not a joke. It's real easy for 6, 9, a year, 9 months, a year and a half to go by in that place. It really is. And the things that we're talking about today, your calendar, whether it's how to get yourself going in the morning, how to structure your day, how to plan your year. You know, a professional football team, their game is 3 hours on Sunday. That's it, 3 hours. The rest of their week is planning, putting themselves in the best position to win that 3 hours.
That's right.
Game planning, strategy, exercise, diet, all that stuff. So doing these things, the things that we're talking about, I know it doesn't feel like work to people. It's high level, high leverage work. It's important stuff.
For sure. Oh man, Greg, brother, I love you, man. You and I could do this for the next 17 hours. I want to be respectful for your time. I truly enjoy our work together. So to recap, folks, this quarter is the only quarter. In other words, it's always now o'clock. Mine's 0. Get it out of your head. And I'm gonna veto Greg's get pen to paper. I totally appreciate if there's nothing.
My point is that you did nothing, but
I agree. I'm just joking. But please get virtual. Don't lose 2 years of your life like my wife did. It's such a painful moment for me too, because like all I want to do is I say I told you so, and you know that's never a good idea with your wife. So it's now o'clock. This quarter is the only quarter. Mine's 0. Get yourself into some sort of virtual note-taking tool somewhere you can get things out of your head and go back to basics. And part of the basics is the calendar. Greg, my brother, any final tips before I sign us off here?
No, man, that's really it. Just remember, this quarter is the only quarter. Love you. Thank you for inviting me. You know, I always love doing this. When I saw the invite, I was like, a half hour.
Yeah, right.
Is that supposed to say 3 hours? And if you are a Compass agent, come find me in the Compass Coaching Marketplace.
I was just going to say, Greg, I know you asked me not to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. How do people find you? Do they go to your Instagram? Do they give us some contact info for folks that might be interested in chatting with you?
Yeah, thank you. Instagram is at Gregg Sugerman. That's GreggSugerman. And like I said, if you're a Compass agent, I am in the Compass Coaching Marketplace. I do one-on-one work. We just launched me and an agent named Carrie Carr out of Philadelphia. We just launched a mastermind for small team leaders. Those are teams of between 2 and 10 people. And dude, thank you so much for this. This has been great. A lot of fun.
Greg, you're the man. Have a good one, Greg. Have a good one, everybody. You both.
Thanks.